Hi ghosties, it's me, the Kitty-Girl. I know, it's been a minute since I've posted anything, well, anywhere. To borrow some colloquialisms from the gaming community, my mental health took a few critical hits, and I was left with a ass stamina and strength debuff on all my actions thereafter. You get me, right? But hey, you can't keep a bad bitch down. During my time recuperating, I took on the project of re-optimizing my roughly 500 square foot spooky maxed workroom. And that's why I'm here today, because I'm finished and I can fulfill one of the quintessential duties of many an aspiring content creator. So join me now as we tour the spooky sewing room. Alright, starting off at the computer/gaming area. This is the only part of the room that remains untouched. Half because I already quite like the configuration, but also half because remounting bookshelf brackets is kind of a pain in the butt. I mean, it's hard to argue the cozy factor of this. Next up is the rip crafting frame area. Okay, so I made myself out to be a little bit of a liar already. This is a semi-untouched area. And while it remains mostly how I had it, I replaced the barrister bookcase that was here with all of this. And this now houses Blommel's paper and yarn. I also didn't change where this little paint shelf goes because it's a perfect fit for this odd little corner. And now let's go on to what has changed. What was once my cool wall shelf of fabric is now this. Here to the left side, I keep all my large rolls of materials because they are too cumbersome to keep anywhere else, plus they're nice and tucked in here. But now this space can showcase more of my Blomel collection, in addition to giving me extra space for more books, in case I get more, which I always do. The biggest addition to this area? It's now where my art and drafting table resides. It's quite self-evident what I keep on this table. Basically anything that I use to draw, paint, draft, it's all here. I found these really cute pen and marker holders at Dollar Tree, and I love how they keep my supplies inside and in mind. Beneath the table, I keep all the miscellaneous and extras, like this pumpkin jar of random gouache paints that I still need to organize. Yeah, I didn't really catch this corner very well, but it is my secondary machine station now. Let's peep the shelf views first. These shelves never moved, but I did add to them, so they deserve a little commotion, yeah? But anyway, this is where my drafting table used to be. Now it's a desk where sits upon the Brother SC400, a very nice combo sewing and embroidery machine, and beside it the Juki MO-634DE, my overlock, aka serger. Well, that was a broad view. Not really sure what I was going for there, but enjoy this panorama before we head on to the pressing and ironing station. This station, located to the left side of the room, is where I keep all my pressing equipment, such as the Steamfast steam press. Very handy for pressing multiple cut pieces at once. And to the right of this is my ironing board / cubby. My partner made this for me from an old shoe cubby. He also recently bought me the Silver Star Industrial Steam Iron for Valentine's this year. But obviously I haven't unpacked it and set it up yet. Below, in the actual cubby holes, I keep all the specialized stuff like these wooden pressing tools. Next to that, the softer pressing tools like the hams and rolls. And right next to that is my garment steamer, pressing cloth starches, and whatever other pressing fluids. Below that is all my iron-on interfacing and stabilizers, spare iron and specialized ones, and finally the embroidery arm to my combo machine. Whew, let's take a Halloween break to peep the decorations above the station. This shelf is actually new to this side of the room, and some of the decorations are new to being on this shelf, but for the most part it stayed the same. This is another shelf that has remained untouched, but deserves its flowers for how gorgeous it is. And the shelf to the right of it too. Alright, we're moving on to the toolbox and hardware station, formerly the location of my sewing table. And just as it says on the tin, this is where I keep my most used tools and hardware. Also a pretty good spot to showcase my best sewing boxes. And so, speaking of which, my two most prized sewing boxes I commissioned from artists. I built this box, but I got Geek Goddess Creations to paint it in a theme that I asked for. A mash of vintage Halloween and sewing. I keep all my finicky little tools inside of it, and I made the top so it could hold spools of thread and a small cup for marking pens. The next one I commissioned from Mercury's Toy Box. She's a good friend of mine, and I asked her for the same mishmash theme of vintage Halloween and sewing, obviously with stunning results. This one is an actual toolbox that my partner bought from Harbor Freight, and I'm using it as intended, holding my tools. Years ago, I bought this cubby from Home Depot, meant to hold screws and things. Don't go there. But anyways, I'm holding my charms and other bag hardware in it. Side note, I wish I would have bought the Harbor Freight cubby. It's colorful, cuter, and I like the shop better. And now finally, this vintage credenza/drawer situation that I bought off Marketplace. The various drawers hold all my other hardware miscellanea, such as my zipper tape, and my divider boxes that contain rivets, grommets, patterns, specialized tools, all of my highly used whatevers. Heading to the right of my toolbox station is a tertiary sewing machine. This is actually the second machine I bought ever since moving to the US. It is the Singer 503 Slantomatic, aka Rocketeer. Absolutely A-class machine, but these days I use it mostly for its button holder. As is the case with many of these old gals, their accessories hold up really well, even in comparison to their modern day sisters. And here's the shelf view that sits above the machine, another untouched display. The only new addition to this wall is a spooky little Dracula fringe piece. I converted it from a discarded trunk or treat decor to now a wall hanging. I recycle a lot of stuff. For example, I buy frames from the thrift store and put big board in them to display my tools visibly and cutely. This corner here serves no other purpose than to be really cute. It has my thread caddy, blow molds, and my favorite animatronic ever. This vintage 3-foot-tall Talco Originals Halloween Motionette Witch, which someone gave me in trade for one of my handcrafted bags. Now let's take a quick trip to the other side of the room where I have my primary sewing machines, the workhorses of my flow. First up is the Sailrat Fabricator, an industrial walking foot machine, extremely specialized for heavy-duty sewing. And right beside her is the Juki DDL-8700, industrial single needle straight stitch. Only one stitch, but a damn fine one. And in this little nook in the corner, all of my active sewing materials and notions. So now going back to the other side of the room, the new spot for my primary fabric wall, serving both utility and aesthetic. Probably my favorite wall of the whole room. It showcases my lovely fabric collection as well as blow molds and other of my little knicky necks. I popped a little corner trinket shelf right beside it to really maximize the kitsch factor of my little trinket collection. I adore how maximalist it is. Now I reach the part of the room where I'm very quietly famous for. My blow mold fireplace. It's a lot less of a spectacle than it used to be, but I am quite happy having distributed the concentration of blow molds throughout the room instead of having it all condensed into this little corner. It gives each little blow mold an opportunity to shine. And now, dearest ghouls, I take you to the newest place in Spooky Town. My brand new filming studio. It used to be the spare bedroom, which, you know, is pretty much a glorified dumping ground for the house, where all manner of junk was stored, never to be seen or used again. But now I dressed it up with all of my furniture pieces that didn't serve any utility in the main area, to make a cozy little spot for all of my other knickknacks and other parts of my collection. My barrister bookcase houses of vintage fabrics that I dare not touch, but love to collect. I was also hoping to continue to grow my uranium collection, which was the purpose of moving this cabinet in here. The space offers an opportunity for more growth of this collection. And that of my really old Halloween pieces. But in general, more room to expand all my collections. Even though I said there's not much utility in here, I'd be wrong if I said there wasn't any. I've been keeping a lot of my lesser used supplies in this hutch, for example. Things like garment trims and laces, seldom used on bags, but not entirely unused altogether. The door to the left is my bathroom, and to the right is the only walk-in closet in the entire house. In here is my overflow of supplies. You can say it, because I'm thinking it too. I have too much fabric. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. It was a lot of work, and I am quite proud of it. But sometimes I feel like rearranging a room is harder than it is to move into one. Though I suspect that perception may be skewed by the initial novelty of a new space. Oh well. Well, this is embarrassing. But here I am. I don't know how long into the future, re-recording what I had previously recorded, meaning my process, discussing my process of moving everything, because I mistakenly thought that I had finished with this video, so I deleted a bunch of, roll from my camera because I wanted to edit another video, and I was under the impression that I had finished this one, and that just obviously isn't the case. So yeah, I'm here recording it now. So what did I do? It took me a kind of a long time to get this project done, mostly because I was procrastinating, dealing with a bunch of stuff on my own. I think the biggest hurdle was actually deboning hundreds of yards worth of fabric, and I ended up destashing a good portion of my fabric now, and that's saying something because I still currently have way too much fabric to be sewn in my lifetime. My partner and I once calculated how much it would take to sew everything I had. I don't have enough years in my life, I don't think, and I don't know the future. I could die tomorrow. Please don't age poorly. I have a severe desire, rather impulse, to organize my fabric into perfect little square bundles that all match each other in size. And I also thought color. So I let my stronger impulses guide my fabric organizing. I kept the Halloween cottons that I use for my bag linings pretty strictly in the Halloween the sewing area mainly. And I kept my garments materials in the closet because I'm not sewing clothes as much as I am sewing bags these days. The reason? I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. The work was done by mostly me, but my partner helped me move the heavier stuff. Some of that furniture, like the credenza out there, is quite cumbersome. Partner to help me move my machines, which weigh a ton. Impossible move on my own, obviously, because I'm just a little weak baby ghost who can't lift up an 80-pound sewing machine head with a probably around 20-pound table, and moving it around my narrow space was equally weird and awkward. But we did it. Right now, I wish I had a second comfy chair because I'm using this stupid little purple swivel one that my cat uses as a scratch post, and it's technically his chair. So he'll often jump on the back and make it very uncomfortable. And I haven't allowed him to sit on my koala chair. I wish I had 2 of those, but they're really expensive chairs. That chair was a floor model, so even with that, I was still kind of spendy. It was one of my more expensive purchases to the sewing room. Hey koala, you have the chance to do something really cool for me. Hey koala. I think gaming chairs are also pretty good. I have my gaming chair, which my cat used as a scratch post for a long time. That was unintended. I think he did it like years ago, and I just haven't really gotten around to patching it. But anyways, I'm rambling. Now why, oh why, do I keep my space so maximally spooky? I just always loved vintage Halloween, and I've always loved sewing, so it just made sense to me to have a spooky sewing room where I can simultaneously adore my collection and create within it. It's like a symbiosis, the circle of artist's life. We see and experience something, and we create simultaneously. I don't know. I'm not the philosophical type. I'm a high school dropout, man. I don't know. I can't. If you are here and you don't like Halloween, I encourage you to look up bean soup theory on TikTok. Don't even go here. All I can really say is that I enjoys it. I enjoys it a lot. So if you enjoy that too, hey, welcome. I'm really glad that I did this because I was starting to get a little more than a little annoyed at how random everything was at first. But now I think everything is well placed. I've already functioned and sewn a lot since the last video and even the one ahead. Hey, it's me from the future, 2 weeks or maybe more from the last point I recorded, and I have now lived and worked in my new sewing space. As you can see, I tweaked a couple things, but let's walk through that. Remember how mere seconds ago to you I said rearranging a space is harder than moving into one? Well, part of that is because your brain, or at least my brain, tries to lock into old habits of the old space and trying to form and maneuver around the new stuff. And having worked in this space for as long as I have already, I had to tweak a couple things to make it work, to make it make sense. For example, the ironing station. I had it over there where the now secondary machines are, and I moved those machines from their little spot right here. And the reason for that is because I'm always working with the iron. No matter what I'm sewing, whether I'm at my secondary machines, my primary machines, I'm always using the iron. So a centralized location just made sense and streamlined my movement in this space. But another reason for the relocation of the ironing station is the placement of the water tank for the new iron. Now, I haven't set it up yet. I'm still procrastinating on that. But over there, the tank was on the left-hand side, meaning the cord and the water tube were coming in on the left-hand side when all of its connections and leanings are on the right-hand side. And that was already very annoying, not having even used the dang thing yet. I've been using the household iron down here, and it functioned the same way. I got the same sense, and I didn't like it. So this now makes more sense. Plus, astute viewers might have noticed that this is an IV hanger, meaning it has mobility. And I now have freedom to do that around the machine. Not that I will, but it has the freedom to. Whoops. We're good. So part of the reason I haven't set up my steam iron yet is because I'm a little undecided of whether or not to use the demineralizing filter it came with, or using straight up distilled water, which, you know, it's already demineralized due to the distillation process. It removes all those pesky minerals that are good for us, but bad for the iron, that cause limescale and other calcification issues. And I already have a bunch of distilled water on hand because I use the clothing steamer. So in my eyes, having to constantly buy and replace a filter as opposed to using what I already have on hand that, in my uneducated but slightly informed guess, works just as well. I don't know. You tell me. No, really, you tell me if you know better. I haven't set one of these up in a long, long time. So I guess the best thing to update you all on is what I've been working on, which has been a lot. I finished a couple of these cute little pouches, which I'm now calling event pouches, because they're lightweight, small, cute, and they're perfect for carrying just the bare essentials to your event. And the pocket is sized perfectly for a giant phone. It says a giant phone haver. Yeah, also the inside pouch, I've included a little slip pocket for pens, pads, those kinds of pads. You know, things that you might need at an event, but you don't want to carry a bulky purse. Like one of my primary ones. They are bulky, but they're very cute, of course. And the faces of those pouches are recycled from these faces that I cut out here. And the patchwork is cut out from the scraps of the linings. These produce a lot of scraps, and I'm constantly thinking how I can reuse them. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job with these little pouches. So other than this work in progress, I am tweaking all the patterns for all of my other bags to get that done and continue sewing within my favorite place on earth. I did manage to send off my last room configuration with one mighty fine final project. Ta-da! I call this one Creamsicle Glia, and it's made from a few bag graveyard remnants, and it also glows in the dark, as every haunted ghoul should. But that's it for now. Like, subscribe, do all the cool ghoul things so you can follow along while I get this ghost train up and rolling again. Till next time, bye! Sleepy kitty. Hey, a giant thanks to my members over on Patreon. I've asked my small but extraordinary pool of supporters to help me make this end credit part more fun by asking me a question, which I will answer 2 of here right now. But the rest, you can go watch the bonus video of over there. So the first question comes from Jenny, and she asks, do you prefer to listen to something while sewing/crafting, or would you rather it quiet? Well, Jenny, I appreciate the question. I actually like a mixture of both, because my brain sometimes just needs to lock in and focus, and I'll have it really quiet, because also I'm probably filming too, so I don't like my background noise happening in those videos. But mostly I like to listen to audiobooks from the library and video essays here on YouTube. So my favorite channels are Action Button Review and Jeffy It, because they're extraordinarily long video essays, which keeps the vibe going for a much longer time instead of stopping and going to another channel and trying to figure that out. But anyways, appreciate the question. And now the second question comes from Travis, and he asks, what is your current favorite blow mold that brings a smile to your face when you see it? Another really good question. Thank you. That is really hard to pick. I have so many blow molds, as you saw. But one of my favorites, usually my favorites are the ones that I've traded for, which was over half my collection, but there's one in particular that I didn't have to trade for, and I'm a sentimental fool, not nostalgic, sentimental. One of the times I was trying to buy a bucket from Instagram from a user, and he told me that I was one of the only people who messaged him about it, So he just gave it to me. And that meant a lot to me because it was an extremely beautiful, random act of kindness that I deeply appreciated. So obviously I'm going to be keeping that forever and ever as long as I live. There it is right there in my collection. It's special because total stranger just gave it to me, and that was really freaking nice. Whenever I receive a gift from a stranger, I tend to keep it because, yeah, sentimental. Thanks for your questions, you two. I appreciate you both very much. My Patreon is free to join and enjoy all the bonus content through, but if you're a Ghoul of Means, I have some paid tiers, which I'm currently putting the funds towards maintaining the program I use to edit these videos. Thanks for watching!